Hey, what's up guys, another video here. So today I want to talk about meal prep. So just to start off, I am not a nutritionist. I don't have a degree in nutrition. I'm not certified in any way to give nutrition advice, but this is my personal opinion and here it goes. So number one is to get glass containers and get many of them. So I like to use partitioned glass containers for meals. So that way you can divide your vegetables, protein, and whatever else you have in there. And you can get also larger glass containers for storing larger amounts of food, such as, let's say you prepare a bunch of sweet potato or prepare a bunch of steamed broccoli or anything like that. You can consolidate it into a larger glass container. So that's why I suggest glass containers mainly for that. Also, if you have older plasticware, it may leach some kind of chemical residue into the food. So that's why I never suggest using plastic containers. So try to find glass containers if they can. Of course, they're heavier and they tend to break if you drop them, but that's the price you have to pay. So that's what I suggest first, to get glass containers. You can get partition glass containers for your individual meals and larger glass containers to store larger amounts of food. You can get these off Amazon or Bed Bath & Beyond or anywhere that sells kitchenware. So number two is to always prioritize green vegetables and fruits. You also may want to make some kind of starch, such as sweet potatoes for carbs. And if you can get them fresh, I suggest to get them fresh, but frozen, organic, or freezing them when you get them fresh isn't a huge deal. So the green vegetables that I do like are, for example, cabbage, broccoli, any type of other leafy vegetable. I like spinach as well. I always get that on a weekly basis. Also for fruits, you can get a myriad of fruits. It can go anywhere from pineapples, mangoes, oranges, clementines, tangerines, apples, strawberries, blueberries, but just be aware of the porous skin of fruits such as strawberries. So just be aware of that. And get them organic if you can, but who knows if organic is actually organic. You can't really trust labels fully, so they may spray it with something, and again, who knows, but if you can afford it, get the organic. It's probably a little better for you. It doesn't have the various chemicals and such sprayed on them. But if you can only afford regular, just get the regular. I mean, getting fresh fruits and vegetables is better than eating processed food, obviously. So it's not a huge deal, but keep in mind that some people may have sensitivity to cruciferous vegetables such as cauliflower and broccoli. So just be aware of that. And this is very highly individualized. It depends on what kind of food sensitivity you have. And if you're a very sedentary individual, you may not want to eat a lot of fruit. It does have a lot of sugar in it, but the fiber in the fruit will help you digest the sugar in them. So just be aware of that. Just be aware of your own sensitivities and always try to prioritize fresh green vegetables and fruits. If you can't get them fresh, freeze them and use them over time. It's not a huge deal. So that's number two. Always prioritize fresh green vegetables and fruits and get them organic if you can. And if you can't get them fresh all the time, just freeze them. It's not a huge deal. So number three, for carb sources, you can get rice, white or brown, or anything else that you don't have a sensitivity to or doesn't cause a spike in weight gain. So just keep in mind that you don't want to have these carb sources highly processed or have any type of additive in them. So just try to get them as close to the natural source as possible. I do like white rice, but I don't tend to eat it that often because it kind of spikes my weight. So you may want to get something like brown rice, but again, you may have some sensitivity to that, or you may not like the taste or texture or the fact that maybe the fiber in it makes you bloated. So it's really highly individualized. But if you do have a carb source, try to get something that's not processed or has additives in it. Again, that's just going to benefit you in the long run. And so again, if it does have a good amount of fiber, that's good obviously for your bowel movements. But get something that you don't have sensitivity to and it doesn't cause weight gain spike. So for protein, try to get meat that's quote unquote organic or hormone free. And again, like I alluded to earlier, just take the labeling with a grain of salt, as it may not actually mean what is on the label. So if you get turkey, beef, chicken, any other type of lean protein, that's great. And if the label says, hey, it's organic or hormone free, that's not treated with, X chemical or hormone, then go for it. But again, just take it with a grain of salt. It may not actually mean what it states on the label. If you can go to a trusted farm or a local farm, then that may be your best bet. But again, you'll have to see if they have like maybe a third-party auditor to verify that they have sustainable farming practices and they don't use X hormone or X methods of harvesting the grains or whatnot. So again, just do your research when you're trying to procure local meats. But again, if you can get it quote unquote organic or hormone free, just based on what's on the label. But again, you can't trust it fully. So the next portion, the next point is you want to manage your portion size using the containers that I alluded to earlier by eyeballing or using a weight scale. So a lot of people use IIFYM to do their diet, but again, it's not great if they're chucking all this kind of additive prone or very processed foods such as Pop-Tarts, for example. So kind of want to stay away from that. Again, you don't know the long-term health repercussions of eating all that processed food. So if you can, use a weight scale to accurately measure your calories and your macros. If not, eyeball it using containers. It's not going to be a huge deal if you're not, for example, prepping for a competition that requires aesthetics such as figure or bodybuilding or whatnot. So again, it's not a huge deal. Just make sure you keep track of your weight if you don't want to make sure that, if you want to make sure that you're maintaining a certain weight. And number 6 is you want to generally have the same meals every day. I understand people don't like monotony, but the sooner you master this adherence to your diet, then it's going to be of great benefit to you. I mean, I, for example, can eat the same meal throughout the same month. It's not a huge deal for me, but some people may take that as a huge deal. So you may want to alternate week to week, but keep in mind that if you are preparing food for the week and you don't want to waste time on meal prep, then you're going to have to eat the similar meals throughout the week. So just to recap here, so number 1 is to get glass containers, get many of them, partitioned and larger containers as well. You always want to prioritize green vegetables and fruits, and if you can't get them fresh, or if you do get them fresh, freeze them to make them last longer. Get organic if you can, but again, that's not a guaranteed admission of if they are actually organic. Your carb sources can include rice, white rice, brown rice, or any other type of carb that you don't have sensitivity to, doesn't spike weight gain, and isn't highly processed, and is closer to the natural form as possible. Again, that can be anything. This is highly individualized, and you may or may not have sensitivity to so-and-so carb sources. For meat, try to get organic or hormone-free, and again, just take a grain of salt with the labeling, and you may want to procure meat from a local source if possible. Number 5 is to manage portion size using these glass containers or eyeballing with a weight scale. Number 6 is just understand that adherence to dieting is difficult, but if you do get into a routine, it's easier to have the same meals every day, maybe from a week to week basis or a month to month basis. Just depends on how you can deal with monotony. But anyways, thanks guys for watching. Hopefully the video was somewhat helpful, and stay tuned for the next video.